Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the TII podcast. My name is Craig Dennett. On what is actually a really sad day for everyone associated with Rangers, I'm joined by Kyran Wallace and the Rangers Review's Derek Clark to look ahead to what's a massive game for Rangers on Thursday night as we take on RB Leipzig in the second leg of the Europa League semi-final, hoping to book our place in Sevilla for the Europa League final in just a couple of weeks' time. But before we do that, we want to pay a bit of a tribute to Jimmy Bell, the renowned Rangers Kitman, I think it's fair to say, who it was announced passed away suddenly this morning. I think it came as a shock to us all. We'd all seen him in the dugout at Celtic Park at the weekend. I'd been holding up the subs board and all of that, going about his normal duties and looking as healthy as you can, kind of thing. And at 69, it's absolutely no age at all. Kyran, I'm going to come to you first on this one. It was a real shock this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about someone who means a lot to the club and the club means just as much to them, you'd be looking at the name Jimmy Bell. Been about the club longer than I've been on this earth. When you talk about someone that's woven into the fabric of the club and really upholds the traditions and the standards of the club, then he's your guy. For folk walking through that door, and you've seen so many tributes today from ex-players that spoke so highly of him and how he held them to these standards, and lots of funny wee anecdotes and stuff like that about how he kept the dressing room going. And he's a massive loss, not only to the club but just Scottish football in general. He's got to be one of the most famous kitmen in the world. But yeah, an absolute shocker and a gutter. And I think I speak on behalf of us all here that our thoughts go out to his family and friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Derek, he'd been at the club for nearly 40 years, I think it was. Everyone kind of knows where his story started, from Parks of Hamilton as a mechanic and a coach driver and driving the team to games, and then he was kind of brought in as the kitman under Souness. And he's worked under every Rangers manager to the present day, which is an amazing feat in itself. And when you take into account the difficulties that we've faced and the highs and the lows over those years as well, is quite incredible. I know you've been around the club a lot in recent years, and with your role with the Rangers Review and that side of things. What are your kind of overriding memories of him and stories that you've heard about him?
Yeah, but like Kyran, I was gutted this morning when I heard the news. He's part of the furniture at Ibrox, isn't he? I think I seen a stat where I think he's lifted a third of the club's overall trophies. He's been there that long. He just missed the Rangers, and I can't imagine the club without him. The people that ex-players and coaches I've spoken to always ask him about Jimmy Bell, and each and every one of them's got a story to tell about him. But they all say he's such a warm, kind guy. Like said, Tommy Muller-Nielsen, I spoke to him, and he says trying to get anything out of his kit room, you need Henry Kissinger in to negotiate. It was that tough. But says he was Rangers through and through. And I mean, Douglas Park said that in the statement. He dedicated his life to Rangers, didn't he? So he bled blue. And other people that I spoke to in the past, speaking about Jimmy Bell, Billy Thompson said that he used to wind him up all the time about the Ravanelli goal when he was in goal for Rangers when they played Juventus at Ibrox, and he always used to rib him about that. But they've all got a soft spot for Jimmy, and I think everyone, you've seen the tributes today from players past and present, like Sir James Tavernier was a beauty. Even Jermaine Defoe's little anecdote as well about having a drink of whiskey even though he doesn't drink because he won the title last year was magnificent. And it's great to see even the little videos, the one where he sort of embraces Giovanni Van Bronckhorst when he came in as manager. It brings a tear to a glass eye, doesn't it? So, he touched so many people, and not just at Rangers, out with that as well. You're seeing the tributes coming in for him. But yeah, a real shocker today. It's something that, like you say, Craig, at the weekend, there was nothing untoward when he was at Parkhead or anything that you're concerned about his health. So it really hit hard today. And let's just hope I'm sure there will be a bit of a tribute on Thursday night. I'm sure he would have been there on the touchline, willing the team on, of course, as he always is. And let's just hope we can do the business for him on Thursday.
Yeah, 100%. Kyran, obviously, as Derek's mentioned, tributes have poured in all day. We've seen tributes from the manager, players, ex-players, some giants of the game in there as well. I think one of the things that really came through from pretty much all the tributes, to be fair, was how he was almost the standard bearer at Rangers over the years. He kept standards high, and anyone that tried to fall below them, as he saw it. I think Josh Windass, there's a story in there about where he asked for a pair of gloves, and Jimmy Bell turned around and said Laudrup didn't wear gloves, or something along those kind of lines. It just shows you how much he meant to the club, but also from a standards perspective, how key he was to the club as well.
Yeah, and I think you're saying a funny one there about Windass. I caught the Amoruso one, where it was about the boots, and he was saying to him, "You better get the green off that boot. You're not wearing them." And he's saying, "What do you mean?" He says, he says he came out the shower and the boots were gone. He said, "I told you, no green in here, son." But nah, you love to hear stuff like that. And I think a personal favourite of mine was when Gerrard first came to the club and we were getting the behind-the-scenes footage, and we're all completely in awe that Steven Gerrard is at our club, one of the biggest names in British football, certainly in the modern era. And it comes to the clip where Jimmy Bell's going about his daily duties in the dressing room, and it's almost just like Steven Gerrard's just another name at Rangers to him, because he's seen so many come through the doors, and he got on with his daily duties, and it was just the day-to-day for him that Rangers meant the world to him. And yeah, he'll be sadly missed, and it'd be great to see a very fitting tribute on Thursday night. Hopefully the guys can go out and really put on a show for him.
Yeah, Derek, I think one of the reasons there was such an outpouring of emotion was that he's one of us. He's a Rangers fan at heart, and that's where he started. He got a chance to work for Rangers for nearly 40 years, and he got to be behind the scenes or in the team effectively for some of the biggest moments of Rangers years. He was there for all throughout 9 in a row, for example. He was there for the UEFA Cup final in 2008. It was some huge moments. I think, as you mentioned, he was there for around. I think he lifted around a third of Rangers trophies that we've lifted in our history: 18 league championships, 14 league cups, 9 Scottish cups. It's not often someone who isn't a player or a manager is labelled as a legend, but I think it's safe to say he definitely is.
Oh yeah, there's no question about it, and I think the tributes tell you that. But some of the biggest names in the game saying that about him, about the Kitman, which you don't often hear. I know Kyran says probably one of the most famous Kitmen in the world. I don't know many other Kitmen, to be honest, at different clubs. Everyone knows Jimmy Bell though, don't they? Renowned. He's been there so long. Like you say, he was the bus driver before, and there was a funny story when I interviewed Stephen Boyack a few weeks ago, and he told me about the time when he was an apprentice at the time, and Jimmy asked the two of the boys to clean the bus, and they took it for a joyride down the car park and ripped the gearbox out and all that, and he says he was fearing for his life, Jimmy, and it was just a funny story. But he was another one that says he was just absolutely brand new. As soon as you got to know him, he was brilliant. And even I loved the video for John Flanagan that surfaced today as well, in his actual kit room as well. It's just a treasure trove in there, just Rangers memorabilia, and it just shows you how much the guy loves the club. I mean, of course he's doing a job, but it's his love. You can tell that oozes out of him. And yeah, he's a legend. There's no doubt about it, and I'm sure there'll be a tremendous send off for him. I've seen there's already shirts and flowers and all that being laid at the gates of Ibrox as well. So I'm sure that he'll get a right good send off. And it's just been a hard season, has it? Losing two massive figures at the football club. It's been a hard one, but as we mentioned, hopefully we can do Walter and Jimmy proud by winning on Thursday night and going all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to move on now to talk about the RB Leipzig second leg and look ahead to that. There's kind of no easy way to segue from today's news into that. But I just want to finish this section by saying from everyone at TII, our thoughts are with the Bell family at this time. And Jimmy, thank you for all that you did for Rangers Football Club. Kyran, we're just 2 days away from what is Rangers' biggest game since 2008. I feel like we said that last week as well in the preview, to be fair, but this really is a game of that magnitude. We take on RB Leipzig in a second leg at home, knowing that a 2-goal winning margin, or even potentially penalties, which I'm not sure I could cope with, to be honest, can take us to the Europa League final. How are you feeling looking ahead to the game?
I'm just cannot stop thinking about it. I don't know about you guys, but it is just the only thing in my mind. I was actually out a walk with the dog, my wife, the other day, and she's like, "You're a bit quiet, are you all right?" And I was like, "I can't stop thinking about Thursday." It reminded me, you know, that meme that goes about when it's the couple lying back to back in bed and she's got the speech bubble at her head saying, "He's probably thinking about other women." I'm at the other side. It's like, I can't stop thinking about Thursday. Nah, I think we're all manifesting that we're going through, and we've been having a sneaky look at flights at Seville and how good it would be. But nah, I'm excited. I'm quietly confident, just going on how good we've been at Ibrox against European opposition this year. We talk about 08, but it's not been like 08. 08 was like strap yourself in and grip on hard, because it's going to be a long ride, as in we were scrapping through games there. We're blowing teams away at Ibrox. Red Star, Braga, Borussia, we're scoring goals and we're playing well. Just hope we can just get that one final push. And I know I mentioned Borussia there, but Leipzig are right up there with them. They're a good team. They are to be feared going forward. But I think what we discussed off air before we come on there, that they can be got at, and we're very good on the break. It'll be interesting to see how we set about it, how we go about it, and it's all going to depend on Kemar Roof and Aaron Ramsey and their availability, I think, especially Kemar Roof with the lack of options we've got up front, but I'm quietly confident.
Yeah, I think really last week's performance was the first one that kind of actually reminded me of that 08 run. It was kind of just backs to the wall and keep the score down, and let's take it back to Ibrox and see how we go on. Derek, you were over in Leipzig last week. Really enjoyed the videos of you speaking to half-cut fans in the square as they got more and more drunk as the day went on. How was that experience, and what were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it was very much that, Craig. But it was brilliant. I was in the square. I got there Wednesday night, and then Thursday morning I was in the square, and it was just building up with Rangers fans throughout the day. But it was a right good atmosphere. Everyone was in good spirits. A lot of Germans there as well that travelled down to watch the game. A surprise how many Germans were supporters at Rangers. There was a great guy I met just outside the ground, and it was brilliant. And then leading up to the game, heading in, I think that they were in full voice throughout the game, and it was a case of containment. It looked like just try and get out there with as little damage as possible, and it looked like we're coming back with a 0-0 draw, which would have been an absolute dream result from kick-off. That being said, losing the late goal, I know it's a bit of a sucker at the end, but you'd have happily taken that at the start. And the way they celebrated it then, Leipzig, it was almost as if they felt that, almost very much like Braga when they won the first leg, as if they'd won the tie. I think there's a lot of football to be played, of course. If not the way before the game at Leipzig, it was very theatrical. It's almost like you were in a sort of rock concert or a show, and it was all well orchestrated and all that sort of thing. But it's nothing like what Ibrox is going to be like on Thursday night. The whole place will be shaking at Ibrox. So you just wonder if these Leipzig players have played in an environment quite like that, because it's nothing like what they're used to at home. So the fans have got a huge part to play, I think, on Thursday night. But yeah, Leipzig, cracking city, loved it. Bit of a trek getting back home, right enough. Like many supporters, I went a bit of a detour. I went get the train up to Berlin, then a flight to Munich, then a flight from Munich to Manchester. But I heard of folk flying to like Ibiza and all that to get back home. It was insane. But the lengths that Rangers fans go to, it blows my mind. But it just shows you how much they want to go and see the team.
Yeah, I mean, now that you say that, I hadn't really noticed at the time, but the way that Leipzig celebrated that goal, it was as though that was them done. That was the tie over. They just needed that one goal, and they were through to the final kind of thing. It was kind of surprising how much they celebrated it. I suppose they've won the game and put themselves in the driving seat. It goes back to the whole argument. do you celebrate games when you do you do what was it Chris Sutton says? I realise that's probably blasphemy mentioning his name, but
Craig, you've logged it on now, man.
I think he realises that they had to take some sort of lead to Ibrox because they'll know fine well how difficult it was going to be. So they've got that goal, and they probably felt it deserved it. I know Tedesco, the manager, said that in his post-match press conference, and he was calling Rangers a long ball team and how they play easy and all that sort of thing, which I felt was a wee bit disrespectful. So I'm sure Rangers will be playing a hell of a lot differently on Thursday night. And hopefully, as Kyran said, Kemar Roofe will be back fit again. If he's fit, then it's you feel a lot more confident going into the game, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll come on to a couple of those topics in a bit. Kyran, I guess the worry heading into the weekend's Old Firm game was that either we'd pick up some injuries or that we'd have a poor performance that would kind of knock our confidence. Thankfully, we didn't have any of those.
Yeah, totally agree. I think everything went our way at the weekend, albeit I feel the same as everyone else. We should have took the 3 points. But yeah, put in a great display, confidence builder going into next season, confidence builder going into Thursday as well, knowing that despite our depleted attacking options, we can still go out there and play a style of play that's going to cause teams trouble and defend well in the game. I mean, they only get one shot on target, which says a lot. So yeah, it went how we hoped. That we said that last week. As long as we don't take a scoreline that would knock us off our rails going into Thursday, and the media being on our back and making the wrong headlines and stuff like that. So yeah, things went all right, and yeah, we've gone with a wee bit of confidence now.
Yeah, Derek, I watched bits and pieces of Leipzig's game last night against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Leipzig lost 3-1. Mönchengladbach were down to 10 men for the last half an hour. It was actually interesting. I heard the commentators talking about how much pressure Leipzig are under because they've now dropped out of the Champions League spots in the league. I think there's only 2 or 3 games left in the Bundesliga at this stage, so they're not in charge of their own destiny on that side of things. And the Europa League is really the only other route that they have to the Champions League by winning it. Do you think we'll see any tension or pressure starting to tell on Leipzig on Thursday, or do you think that combined with, as you mentioned, the atmosphere at Ibrox and the fans and that side of things might actually work in Rangers' favour?
Yeah, it could do. They're very much in a similar position to Rangers, where the Europa League presents the best opportunity to get in the Champions League. I've got to admit, they knocked the ball about pretty well in Germany last week. Although, as the game wore on, you started noticing a few misplaced passes and you heard the groans because they were getting frustrated, of course, and Rangers were doing a number on them. I think it's crucial that they take care of Nkunku. He's obviously their top man. How he doesn't score last week is beyond me when he blazes over the crossbar. I think Goldson done a great job on him. But that aside, I mean, Angelino's a top player. They've got other players littered throughout the team. They've got the 2 centre-backs back, I think, for this game as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so they're going to be a dangerous side. Rangers are going to have to be at their best to get the better of them. But the European nights this season have been special. I don't think there's been a season where the atmosphere at Ibrox has been as good consistently as it has been in these European games, and I think it's going to be crucial on Thursday. It's the biggest game at Ibrox since probably '93, you would say, in the Champions League, going against CSKA Moscow, or whatever, when they've got a chance of reaching the final. I think it could even be better than that, based on the fact that the final is at stake, the carrot at the final. You just have to win the game. So you just wonder if Rangers will just go gung-ho at the start, like we've seen at Braga, against Braga at Ibrox. If they do that, Leipzig could rattle them. But I think both the fans and Rangers start, I think, is hugely important on Thursday. I think the next goal is massive. If you can get the next goal, then it's game on. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I was only 1 year old in 1993, so I don't quite remember that one. Kyran, all the noises coming out, and Derek kind of mentioned it a wee bit earlier. All the noises coming out of Ibrox are that Kemar Roofe will be fit to play on Thursday, and they will be back in the team. How big a boost is that for us overall?
Absolutely. And the attacking options as well, like we've touched on. But Roof gives us that outlet. I know when we had RB through the middle for a small patch of the game over there, when the ball started to stick, we started to play a lot more in their half and advance up the park more and spend more time up there. Roof gives us that outlet, but he also gives us that danger in the 6-yard box that maybe when RB up there, he didn't, because we did start the game with Ryan Kent and Wright through the middle there, and then we sort of changed to Rebo, and then we went with Sakala, and nothing really worked to much effect going forward. All the joy we were getting was coming from the wide areas. So Roof does give you that sort of outball, that target man to hit. Not so much a target man as in your traditional target man, but someone that can pull it in. Guys can go and play off him. He can be quite creative at times, and he's very well known for the spectacular as well. So he's a big game player, scores big goals. And I think you can throw Ramsey in that bracket as well. From the whispers that you hear that he's doing okay as well, but you don't know what's doing okay in the context of Aaron Ramsey. But fingers crossed he can make it. But I think if the two of them are fit, then you'd be putting Roof down to start. I'm not sure if Ramsey would start though.
No, I think he's probably, if he's able to play any part, I think it will be from the bench. Derek, I thought last week we set out clearly with the game plan of staying in the tie. We kind of forced Leipzig wide. They kind of went back and forward in a kind of U-shape, struggling to create very much. We need to set up differently this week, don't we?
Yeah, most definitely. I think Aribo, once he moved him more centrally on Thursday night last week, I think he did well. Rangers get a bit more joy. At Parkhead, it didn't work as well. I've struggled to think the last time Aribo had a good game against Celtic, to be honest. He rarely stands out in these games, but certainly in Europe, you'd play him. Hopefully Roof is back. He's the main man up top if that is the case. But yeah, Rangers need a focal point. They struggled in the final third against Leipzig last week, although I mean chances were few and far between. The game plan was to keep them out. Kent has that obviously chance that flashes across the face of goal, but that aside, very, very little. So you'd feel much more confident if Rangers can have at least one of Roof or Ramsey back. Likely it will be Roof. And then you throw Sakala in the mix as well. I mean, he was having an absolute nightmare at Celtic Park until half-time, wasn't he, on Sunday? And then he comes out second half and playing on that left-hand side, he just looks like a different animal, doesn't he? Or through the middle, as opposed to on the right. So that's a big call for the manager as well. Does he play Sakala? Depends, I guess, if Roof is fit. If Roof's fit, then you play Kent on the left, Roof through the middle, and potentially Aribo on the right-hand side. But certainly, going forward, Rangers need to be better. You just miss Alfredo, don't you? You just wish you could patch him up and get him on that park again, because he'd have loved that last week against that Leipzig defence and Ibrox on Thursday night. He'd have relished it. There's no doubt about it. But as what it is, and I think it's going to be one of Sakala or Roof up front. If not, then you're likely to see Aribo in that sort of false nine position, if you like. But he's not one that's going to chase down the channels or anything like that. It's not his game, is it? And even getting in certain positions, busting a gut to get in the box, it's not his game. So again, Rangers would have to tailor their play to accommodate him. But that's why Giovanni Van Bronckhorst gets paid the big bucks.
Absolutely. I mean, all my money's on Kamar Roof starting, I think, at this moment in time. And I thought that's maybe my money and my hopes. But yeah, I think you mentioned Fashion Sakala there. That torrid first half at Celtic Park, and still one of my favourite tweets from the weekend was about 60 minutes in. Someone tweeted, "When did we bring Fashion Sakala on?" So I quite enjoyed that one. Kyran, having seen Leipzig for 90 minutes last week, what do you think are the keys to stopping them while still being able to attack and mount a goal threat?
I think last week we done very well at keeping Kunku quiet, if that's how you pronounce his name. Goldson, Lundstrom and Bassey seem to do a job there, and we've seen Bassey go and do what we've seen him do against Celtic, and that's go and press the highest midfielder and kind of almost cut off the service to the main striker. It seems to work. So if we can keep that going, balls in the air, we seem to be going and competing well, especially with Lundstrom in there, dropping in as the central of the three, and then sort of sitting in front when in possession. Keeping that sort of system working and keeping it fluid is very, very key to how we go about it on Thursday. If we can keep the door locked at the back, then I've got no doubt we can score one, maybe two. But no, as defensive performances go, over there I thought we were very, very good. Calvin Bassey especially, I think the one at the back post where Nkunku came in with a late header, I think we all turned to each other watching the game and said, how has Bassey made up the ground to even put him off and get up there? He was exceptional, but that's nothing short of surprising with Bassey this year. He's been a shining light this season. So him, Goldson and Lundstrom just seem to work so well over there. I think we'll see something very similar on Thursday. Albeit Van Bronckhorst did touch on it after the game in the press conference, says we're going to come out and play differently. So maybe we don't start with the five, I'm not so sure, but it did work very well in Leipzig, but I do believe it will be a different game plan.
Derek, just one comment, just focusing on Christopher Nkunku. He's absolutely class, isn't he? Just a second comment. I think in my head we're going to come out and play the same way we came out in that second play against Braga, and kind of go for it a bit. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I'm in two minds about that. Leipzig are a much better team than Braga. There's no doubt about it, but I don't think I think any team in Europe would have struggled with Rangers on that night. I mean, the expected goals they got was a record for the Europa League knockout stage. They should have scored about 6 or 7 goals that night. They were so good. They're going to need a similar performance. Leipzig on the break are dangerous. There's no question about it. And then Nkunku, as you mentioned, top drawer quality. The boy's a real talent. That's it. Connor Goldson and Calvin Bassey did a tremendous job. They were my best players last week to just snuff him out. I know he had that chance. He should have scored. But that aside, he had very little in the way of goal, and it's stopping the service to him. But then you've got Angelino, who scores an absolute beauty from the edge of the box, albeit it should have been ruled out for offside with the boy in front of McGregor. But they've got so many good players out there. But that's what I'm saying. If you start well on the front foot, then that might spook Leipzig. And as I mentioned, the fans, Ibrox is going to be rocking on Thursday night, so you just wonder them walking out to that sort of atmosphere. That might shake them a little bit, and if Rangers can get an early goal as they did against Braga, then it's game on, of course. And again, the fan. I mean, there was points against Braga where everyone was feeling a wee bit nervous as well, and the crowd was a wee bit quiet. But I think it's important that everyone just supports the team throughout, sings their heart out and try and get them over the line, because Leipzig are a quality outfit. There's going to be a period of time when they're on the ball and they're spraying passes around, but it's just about remaining compact and making sure that guys like Nkunku and the likes don't get opportunities towards goals. So, but like you, Craig, I can see it going all the way on Thursday, and not ruling out penalties, that's for sure.
No, absolutely not. It's a big fear I've got at the moment. It's like a stress dream. It's just like every night.
He's saying that, but I clocked that picture behind him. I don't know if that's strategic, but would you not take that all over again?
It's a sign patch. That's a patch picture, so it takes pride of place. Kyran, looking at the Rangers starting lineup, I feel like a bit of a broken record on these preview podcasts, but I think the back five will stay the same as it has been for a number of weeks now, with McGregor in goal, Tav right back, Goldson, Bassey, and then Barisic at left back. So I think it's looking at the sort of the midfield three and then the front three. How do you see us line up, or how would you like to see us line up on Thursday night from the start?
I'd like to see I like the back five, but I think we'll go with the sort of 4-3-3 that Van Bronckhorst has been famous for, with the wide wingers. I can see Lundstrom doing a job dropping in and making it a 5, but I can still see him playing in midfield. For me, I'd have the back four, Bassey. Saying that, sorry, I'll go back on that, because I'm now remembering that Balogun will be fit. Back for suspension from the weekend, so he'll be fresh. So he might go with the back five and go with Lundstrom and Jack in the middle. With a Rebo in there with them, I'd probably go Kent off the left, Wright off the right, no pun intended, and Ruth, fingers crossed, everything crossed through the middle. I love Sakala. I think he's done himself He's done himself no harm with his performance in the second half at the weekend. I just still think we're in that territory with him. I'm not sure if he can be trusted in such a big game, because you just don't know what you're getting with him. It could be first half Parkhead, it could be second half Parkhead. You just do not know. So I'm not sure if he can be trusted. Really hope Roof's back, but I'd still go with Aribo if he's not. I'd still go with Aribo through the middle if he's not, and possibly bring Kamara into the midfield, even Stephen Davis. But yeah, I can see a sneaky one with Balogun starting at the back.
Yeah, you've named about 20 players there, but that's absolutely fine.
Well, I picked two different teams in the preview pod before Parkhead, so I'll go quickly. McGregor in goals, left back Barisic, right back Tavernier, Goldson, Bassey, Balogun centre back, Jack and Lundstrom with Aribo in the middle. Oh, I'm all over the place here.
Right. you want to get two players left up front, you name 3.
I was nearly naming 12. Right, I give up.
Well, you can probably throw me with that Balogun shout anyway. I don't see him coming in. Derek, how do you see us lining up on Thursday?
I don't see him coming in either, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I think Lundstrom, as much as he looked comfortable and composed in the back 5 in Germany, you take a lot away from his midfield sort of dynamism and fight in the middle of the park. And I would love to see him in the middle there, just bossing it, as we've seen in recent weeks. He's been the main man for me, standout performer. And if they play him in the middle alongside Jack, you'd imagine, given he was rested for much of the game on Sunday, I think that's your midfield 2, with front sort of 3, Aribo, Kent, and fingers crossed, Roof. But I mean, the press conference is tomorrow. We'll find out if Roof and Ramsey what their sort of availability is going to be like. But that would be my team. There is a shout for Sakala. Scott Wright for me looked overawed last week. This is no disrespect to him, but the occasion got to him, and I know he's playing up front on his own. It's not a position that he's comfortable with, but his touch let him down. He was too slow on the ball. He was giving the ball away, and you need better than that if you want to make it through to your final. So certainly as an impact player off the bench, as we've seen it at Parkhead, certainly is an option, but to start, no. Sakala, again, impact player off the bench, yeah, that is an option. But yeah, that would be my team. I think Jack and Lundstrom have to play. They've been the sort of cornerstone of Rangers progressing through the rounds, and I think them 2 in the middle of the park is going to be vital for progression. I think you'll go with the back 4 with the option, I think, of Lundstrom just stepping back without the ball when needed, just to sort of make yourself compact and soak up pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to agree with yourself, Derek. I think Lundstrom and Jack in midfield. I guess you've got the shout of, do you put Aribo in that kind of number 10 role, or do you bring in someone like Arfield? I'd probably bring in Arfield, if I'm being honest. Maybe Kamara in there and put Aribo out wide right of the front 3 with Roof and then Kent joining them. But there's always a potential that you just go all out attack and you stick Sakala out wide right and you stick Kent wide left and then Roof through the middle, and you hope for a 5-3 win or something like that. But
I'd like to see them go. See, as long as they go for it, then I don't think many people can have many complaints. That you just want to see them give it a right good go, and if they come up short, then so be it. But if they go attacking, then nobody can sort of blame Giovanni for doing so, I don't think.
Yeah.
An interesting thing which happened against Braga when we came back over here is we tended to target down their left side, so our right-hand side, where Jack would sort of drop into the right back slot, where Tav would move up and we'd sort of try and isolate their fullback. Be interesting to see if we do that against their right-hand side, because I noticed all our joy came down Kent's side away to Leipzig, so that might be something that you see as Barisic getting higher up the park with Kent and trying to create 2-on-1s against their fullback. He likes to do that, I've noticed, where it just sort of abandons any sort of central midfield where guys are dropping into fullback areas, and it's worked. He might try something like that again, I'm feeling.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're better at the communication than they were at the start of the game on Sunday. Barisic and Kent anyway. Derek, reaching a Europa League final would be an absolute monumental achievement for Rangers. Firstly, do you think we'll do it? And secondly, what do you think your score prediction is for Thursday night?
Yes, they're capable of doing it, but I mean, this is a right good side. We've said at the top of the show that they're playing against a team who, for me, are up there with the likes of Dortmund. I know people say, they're not as good as Dortmund, that sort of thing. This is still a right good side. Frankfurt are having a shocker in the Bundesliga, but in Europe that they're turning it on. Folk were a bit surprised about the result last week and beating Barcelona. So the domestic form that doesn't translate into European form for a lot of teams, and Rangers have found that. I think they can win. You're right, it'd be monumental if they got to the final. They don't deserve to even reach the semi-finals, Rangers, given the way that European competition is structured, and to get to the final would just be a ridiculously amazing achievement. They can do it. Something tells me 2-0 it's popping into my head, but whether Rangers can keep Leipzig out is another thing. I think they can win, and let's hope it's just in 90 minutes, because like you, Craig, I don't think my heart can cope with extra time and penalties. Even that Braga game when they scored late on, you're thinking, oh, here we go. They're going to get knocked out here by 10-man Braga. But I mean, they showed great character and spirit that night just to sort of reset and go and get the win that they deserved. And I think it's going to take another sort of performance on Thursday night. But I reckon they can do it, yeah.
Kyran, what about yourself?
Fully on board with Derek. I'm going 2-0. I'm confident we can do it. I'm confident of that back four, back five, however we set up, that we can keep the door locked at the back and we can do well going forward. Ibrox is a different kettle of fish on a Thursday night. It's proven this season that with the backing of the fans, the team just find that other gear. Derek, a great stat earlier as well, talking about the XG against Braga. We wouldn't find that in the league. It's like we went out and battered a top team who coincidentally ended Porto's 58-game unbeaten run the following week. So it's a very good Braga side that we blew away at Ibrox. There's nothing to say we can't come out, although Leipzig, much better team, I think. But yeah, got to be confident. We've got to go into it with our tails up. We've been good the past couple of months, despite the blip just after Christmas. So, biggest night at Ibrox, certainly that I'll probably ever go to or have been to, and I really can't wait. It's got all the makings of a special night.
Also helps when you get 12 men in the starting lineup, doesn't it?
Well, when we say 12 men, I was including the fans. So.
I think I'm going to go for 2-1 Rangers and every extra time period. I think I can't see us like you, Derek. I can see us scoring 2 goals, but I can't see us keeping them out, I don't think, for 90 minutes. So I'm going to go 2-1 and then just see where it takes us from there. I'm not going to do any more predictions after that. So I think that's pretty much us for this review podcast. Kyran, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me as ever.
And Derek, thank you very much for coming along. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you and all your Rangers review content as well?
Yeah, rangersreview.co.uk is the website. Like to cover Rangers a wee bit differently than elsewhere. A lot of tactical analysis pieces, big interviews with guys you've not heard of that much, big opinion pieces as well. So rangersreview.co.uk, and we've got a YouTube video every morning, just a daily briefing, just talking about all the Rangers news at 9:30 every morning. So you can find that on our YouTube. Just search for Rangers Review.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I think all that's left to say is please remember to like this video, subscribe to the TII podcast channel, and also remember to turn on those notifications so you get an email every time a fresh podcast is uploaded. It's been a tough day for everyone associated with Rangers, but we look forward to Thursday night and another historic evening at Ibrox. Until next time, goodbye.